Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This, as was quite rightly pointed out, is one of the most important things that have come before us in many, many years. And the last time that this council went through a merger process, forced amalgamation, was in 1980, when Dubbo Municipality and the Tarragon Shire became one, and that was a forced amalgamation. And that amalgamation most probably made sense. It must have made sense because there was the municipality of Dubbo, which had a, for want of a better word, which is used within the local government industry, a donut council around it, being the Tarragon Shire, and Dubbo was expanding, and to expand it had to expand into another local government area. And that was just not an appropriate way to operate. Also, the facilities that, a lot of the facilities that we now have and take for granted would have been in the neighbouring shires realm. So that made sense. And there are local governments around this state that still have these issues. And those amalgamations make sense. To say that amalgamations don't make any sense is not what we're about. What we're about is saying an amalgamation with Dubbo and Wellington doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't stack up. And I am one councillor, and I'm sure all the other councillors have laid awake at night thinking, what's in this for Dubbo? As a director of this company, Dubbo local government area, we have to think about what's in it for the company and for the assets that we hold on behalf of our community. And remember, at the present time, we hold nearly $2 billion worth of assets on behalf of the community. We have to make decisions about them and what it would mean in an amalgamated process. And that's a bit hard, because I can't think of anything that's in it, but it's really hard when we don't really have the financials, the complete financials of the area that we're being forced into an amalgamation with. And I agree with Councillor Shields. The people of Wellington are on a path to losing their identity. The existing historical and traditional values that existed in our area and in the Wellington area, and the impact on them of this new amalgamation, which is one of those things that have to be addressed in the submission, which we are, is quite important. Because Dubbo and Wellington, we're not at loggerheads, we're not at each other's throats, but we are different, as you quite rightly pointed out, Mr Mayor, at the submission when we made it to the delegate. We are different. We're different communities. We have different household incomes. We have different unemployment rates. Thank God ours is lower. We have a different nationality mix. The Aboriginal populations in each community is different as a percentage of the population. The employment sector is different. Motor vehicle ownership is even different. And the rates of network connection to the internet is even different. The Mayor researches a lot of things. It's even different. So that says we have a different community. And then when we look at how much different, and we can look at things like the income, when you look at the base income in our community from our employment, there's about $1.259 billion worth of wages in our community every year. Wellington, being a smaller community, has about 1.37 million, 0.13 of $1 billion worth of wages. So their capacity to, I guess what I would say, their capacity for the bigger things in life that comes from a community that is growing and needing more is reduced because there is less capacity. That sort of money indicates there's less capacity within the community. The average household income in Dubbo is about $70,500. The state regional average is about $65,000 and Wellington is $54,000. As I said, those wages indicate less capacity. Less capacity to deliver and pay for the social services, the facilities that our community is demanding, and a lower service level to provide because of their capacity. Now I had a little bit of a think about that, Mr. Mayor, and what it would mean to us, the impact of this change into the future, how changes that would happen. The major works programs that we have undertaken in the last few years, most of those may not have happened. I'll use the word may. I would prefer to say wouldn't, but may not have happened. Things like the Western Plains Cultural Centre. How would we have paid for it? Things like Dubbo Regional Theatre and Convention Centre. It could have even been, it's a separate account, but because of the demands that may have been placed on services and the distribution of those services into areas where they may be not now, our water and sewer programs may have been interrupted. And certainly if they weren't, the price of delivery of water and sewer may have increased dramatically. The upgrade of Apex Oval may never have happened. The new animal shelter most probably wouldn't have happened. The upgrade of Dubbo Regional Airport runs as a business, but a council making decisions would be thinking about what sort of money it has. May not have happened. The Aquatic Leisure Centre upgrades may not have happened. The capacity of this council to continue to support the Dubbo Showground and its losses certainly wouldn't happen. The sale yards, up until now, never had any subsidies come through or grants, so the new sheep yards that were put there were built by this council. That wouldn't have happened. And the upgrade of the caravan park, that wouldn't happen. And of course, underlying under that, there's the everyday road construction, maintenance and bridge construction that has taken place as well. And a lot of that's with grants, but a lot of local money going into it as well. So that shows the loss of capacity that this council would have with the impact of this merge. And if the government was sure that they wanted to get rid of impact, one of the first things they could do was get rid of cost shift. That would help both communities out big time. And as we've done the maths, nearly 7% of cost shift to this council on a yearly basis. If we had that extra 7%, how much more money would we have, and would these amalgamations be necessary? Simply because the government says that we're fit for the future but Wellington isn't, and Wellington's not fit for the future based on scale and capacity. Well, we're a growing community. Since 2011 we went from 38,805 to 41,573, that's by 2014, an increase of 2,768. Wellington in the same period went from 8,493 to 9,054, a 561 increase, but still a 2% increase. So based on that, unless there's a major turnaround, which Planning New South Wales thinks there would be, they would continue to grow towards having scale and capacity and should remain alone. I don't like touching on it, but both areas have got significant crime problems. Do they think by putting them together it's going to make them less? No. I'm sure it's going to make them more. Stretch the resources even further. And then it becomes part of the process of how do we attract people to make our area, this area grow, the new area, when all over the place all it talks about is crime. We've been through that problem some years ago. We don't need that again. And of course, one of the strangest things is the new federal boundaries. The new federal boundary for this new local government area is going to be split in half. So when we go to apply for grants from the feds, we'll have to think, oh, whereabouts is it? Who do we go and see? One half, Mr. Colton, and the other half, Mr. Cobb. Who do we go and talk to? Mostly Mr. Colton. But anyway, that divides us straight away. So it makes it harder for us to operate as community or communities. The other interesting thing, and I'm not sure, I wouldn't say that this sort of stuff is political by any means, but when you do some maths, about 56% of the present state seat would come out of the new boundaries. So a very popular councillor or mayor could have an area that's got 56% of the vote in it. That should worry local members. Yes. And of course, again, thinking it through, why do you make this decision? Mr. Mayor, we are the same as we are as Wellington people. We are country people, regional people, but we are different. We're urban based. They are more rural based. Very clear in the numbers. When 21.7% of their employee engagements come out of their rural base, and only 2.8 come out of ours. It's clear we're different. Dubbo is a regional service and retail centre providing services and facilities to the wider Orana region. And you only got to look at the employment. When you look at healthcare and social assistance, 16.2% of our employees in Dubbo come from that area. Public administration, 10%. Education and training, 10%. Manufacturing, I go down. So we are a regional service centre and we are different. We are that far different, it's not appropriate to put us together. If it's appropriate to put us together, why is it not appropriate to put Narromine with us? Narromine, around about 7,000 population, has in 2001 to 2014 flatlined. Didn't go anywhere. Up and down a little bit, but didn't go anywhere. They don't fit. They would be better using the similar formula with Wellington, perhaps doing a boundary readjustment, and I know the submission can't say anything about this because we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to. They'd be better off doing a boundary readjustment and bringing Geary into Dubbo, and that should fix the problem. But Mr. Mayor, I cannot say it enough. Our existing history and traditional values in the existing area and the impact on them is horrendous. We are the same, but we are different. And that's all that matters. Oh, Mr. Mayor, I will say too, just for tonight, I brought Mr. Tony McGrain along with me. I got this tie off Tony, well, after he passed away, they left this tie to me. And I thought, this is something he'd be really interested in. He fought hard for this, and he'd be interested in 56%. He would never have lost his seat ever in 56%.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.